So hello everybody, welcome back to this video. We've been already talking about calming gestures and we're gonna continue with it because there's a whole big variety of different calming gestures. That means it depends on the individual that you're dealing with. Many people are tending towards some of those calming gestures I'm gonna mention, other people don't. And vice versa, they're so different and there are so different varieties and nuances that it really depends on the person you're dealing with. So that's going to be the first advice at all that I'm going to give you regarding reading or interpretation or understanding people in general. First and foremost, find out what their normal state is. What is actually the normal state? And how do they react or behave, and how is their actual body language in their actual normal state. It's absolutely crucial to know those things, because if you don't, you can't actually make a difference between normal reaction and not normal reaction. Because if you know the baseline first, you can see those spikes in certain moments connected to certain incidences or certain questions or topics, that this person is either comfortable or very uncomfortable about those topics. If you know those baselines, you can see those spikes much more clear than having all the way down only spikes and you can't differentiate anything. So the first step is find out the baseline, the normal state. You can find out those normal states from people you just met just by making them comfortable, just making the conversation that you're talking about very comfortable, and you can see that they're relaxing, much more calmer, much more open to speak to you. And if you achieve that, then you can jump to topics that you already know about. It might be a bit more uncomfortable. You can see those body languages and see how the person reacts to those things. So making the person first comfortable is the best way to find out the baseline to normal state, and then face the person with few topics that you know this person's going to be uncomfortable about, and see how they react. We're going to start with some calming gestures, but first and foremost, all those calming gestures just indicate discomfort. It does not mean that the person is straight up lying to you or holding information from you. It's just like people who are uncomfortable in those circumstances, whether you're talking about something or something just popped up in their mind and they're thinking about right now and so on. So it doesn't really mean that this person is lying to you or having bad intentions towards you. It just means that the person is, for endless reasons that you still don't know about, it's very uncomfortable right now. And you can find it out by just talking about it, asking about it, and revealing your impression about their state, about what you can read from their tells. First thing is something that many smokers are familiar with, is like touching or playing around with their cigarette packs. They are oftentimes playing around with their cigarette packs, or even put a whole cigarette out and just play around with the fingers. Just playing around, just doing something else is a way to comfort them. And as you know, as smoking cigarettes, it's also a way to calm you in general. That's one of the reasons why it's addiction, and to make people calmer in many different situations. Other thing is, if you're talking to a person who are doing chewing gums and are chewing all the time, you can see once you're talking about something uncomfortable, or see that they're uncomfortable, that their frequency of chewing really increases. Have you ever seen somebody who is getting uncomfortable and all of a sudden he's like chewing as if he's a whole cow and trying to digest the whole chewing gum and something like that? It really happens. Just look out for those reactions, and you can actually see how this frequency of chewing really increases. Something that I do oftentimes when I survive the dangers or just survive a uncomfortable situation, those puffy cheeks, where I do something like that. It's very common. Many people do that, and you can actually see it most likely on children, but as you know right now, also on me. And that's something I do oftentimes after doing something difficult or just achieving something. I just do it just to comfort myself or just calm myself down in a way, like puffing cheeks. It's really relaxing. Even right now, even if you're doing it right now at home, you can actually feel how it just calms you. Just by doing it, you feel much more calmer. A new thing that many people don't know is yawning during stressful moments. That's something that many people do, me including, because if you are somehow familiar with let's say physiology, if you're comfortable with that or familiar with that, whenever we are in a stressful moment, our saliva is reducing. We don't have much liquid in our mouth. Yawning just increase the saliva to come out. That's the reason why we're doing it as an anti-reaction to the body reaction we have towards the circumstances that are making us uncomfortable. Like dried out mouth, reaction to it is yawning. And I don't need to do yawning, we all know what yawning is. And it increases the saliva in our mouth, and we have much more liquid in our mouth, and it's much more calming than having it all dried up. Something you often see is hands over the leg, where they're touching their legs and are trying to make themselves comfortable going up and down over the leg. That's something you can really see many times, because people are thinking that they're covered from the legs when they're talking towards somebody, when there is a chair in front of them, or over the legs. And they think when I'm just, they don't think actively, but it's something that the brain is just making up, where it starts thinking that as long as the table is over the legs, nobody can see me, that I'm touching myself over the legs just to calm myself down. That's something that many people do. But what many people forget about it is that our hands are connected to our shoulders. And when they are in very stressful moments, they do it even much more harder and increasing the whole frequency. And they end up in doing something like that for a moment. Don't necessarily mean that they're doing it for 10 minutes throughout, but you can see it in 1 or 2 seconds that they're doing something like that just to calm themselves down. They're touching their own legs because the brain thinks nobody can see me as long as there's a table in front of me. And you can see it on the shoulders that they are moving and trying to calm themselves down. Again, there are also endless situations, endless reasons. Just find it out for yourself. Something that many men and women do when they are in suits, and that is like putting the collar, so something like that, just to make like space around the neck. That also indicates discomfort, as you already know. Something that many people see but doesn't necessarily know the physiology behind it. I hope I really pronounce it right. And that is touching the faces and all ankles and the neck, because the reason is there are nerves that are around those places, especially from the nerve vagus or vagus in German. It calms us down, it increases our state of comfort and reduce our state of discomfort. That's the reason, or one of the theories that might explain why people are tending to touch their faces and their necks, especially here, this area, or here the choke pit, just to make themselves calmer. Those are just a few varieties of different calming gestures that I just wanted to share with you. I hope you learned a bit from it, and just go around or just see the next person right now where you're watching this video. Just look at the person right now and try to see if you can see any sign of flight or fight or any sign of calming gestures, and read it. Just look for it, or if the next time you're watching a series or something like that, just look after those situations where the person is facing a discomfort situation, and you can see first of all a shock, and then either a flight reaction or a fight reaction, and then after this you can see the fourth, and this is calming gestures. And just look out for this pattern, and you can see it every time, and all of a sudden you see the whole world with different eyes. So keep watching for the last video about limbic system. It's going to be the basics about the body language, and I'm going to come back to it every time in the next videos. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a comment, and give me about your opinion. I really miss comments right now. I really want to read much more comments. Of course, subscribe and support in that way this tiny work of mine. So see you next time.